I didn't really grow up going to church or knowing about God or Jesus. It just really wasn't part of our family life.
I grew up, in an area that was heavily influenced for the Christian church and had plenty of witnesses. My family, friends, almost everybody around me were Christians, but I never made that first step in faith until I was an adult. In fact, I was almost 30 years old before I ever came to that conclusion for myself and for that moment with God.
But we did have a friend of our family who was a Christian, and when I was in early middle school, he invited my brother and I to go to a big Christian festival with him. And we went, and the bands were fun, and the speakers were engaging, and it was a really great weekend, and they kept talking over and over again about how we need Jesus. How we need Jesus to have a right relationship with God. And early middle school, it made sense for me. And I think that was kind of the beginning of belief for me, when I started to believe in God and started to put my faith in Jesus, but I really didn't understand all of what that meant.
Paula and I were married awfully young. We were pretty immature, but we set out just like everybody else did. We were going to make ourselves happy.
And so after that weekend, I went home, and nothing really changed except I had a Bible. And I knew a little bit about God, but my life remained unchanged.
We threw ourselves into jobs, we worked hard, we spent money. Of course, we decided to have children. That's another area where people are going to make themselves happy, and so we began to have children and raise children. But honestly, after some years, I kind of got to the point where nothing was fulfilling.
In high school, my sensitivity towards God changed because of some situations I found myself in. First, I really began to realize some things about myself and who I was, and some things I really didn't like. Honestly, I was a young man with a lot of anger, and that anger came out sideways, specifically towards my brothers, in some violent ways.
We got a call from somebody that we knew in our past, and she talked to Paula and said, look, we're having a home Bible study. We're doing a home Bible study. Well, I never even heard of such a thing.
And I remember hating that about myself, despising myself because of that, and really having a sense of guilt, because I really didn't know how to deal with just the way I was acting towards them, and the guilt that I had. I didn't know how to deal with that. So I had this kind of self-guilt, self-hatred kind of growing inside of me.
We decided we'd go to this study, and that pastor's Billy Arnold. He came to the friend's house, and he led us through some real simple Bible stuff, but was real relaxed, and he asked some deep theological questions like, tell me about your first bicycle that you ever had. And pretty soon people were talking and having a good time. And the thing that I noticed was that, I guess for the first time I saw Christians that, they were there because they were excited. They were down for the count. They were sold out. They were there. This was a Tuesday.
I moved beyond kind of believing in God and Jesus to really realize that I needed Jesus. I needed him now. I needed help in my life. And at that point, I'm thankful that God provided some really loving and caring men and women who were able to explain to me what it meant that Jesus loved me, and what it meant that he offered me another way, a different path for life.
And one night Bill preaches a sermon, and I couldn't tell you what the sermon was about, but I can tell you this: at the end, he gave an opportunity for people to come to Christ, and he quite simply said, you might have been here in church a long time, you might be an old person, a young person, or this might be your first time here, but I know that some of you have never taken that first step in the journey, that you've never had, that's never been something you've done. And right now, today, because you can't do anything about yesterday, and we don't know what tomorrow's going to be like, this can be your day of salvation, and you can change your life, the eternity for you right now. And I knew that God was talking to me through Bill, and I felt like a spotlight was on me. And I went up that aisle, and I felt somebody take my hand, and it was Paula, and God had called out to her in the same sermon, in the same offering to come forward. And